Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tips of the Trade, Creative Marketing for Humane Farms, presented by Holly Browder of Browder's Birds, Pastured Poultry, and Geoff McPherson of Good Life Ranch. Today's webinar is hosted by Food Animal Concerns Trust. By way of introductions, Food Animal Concerns Trust is a national nonprofit organization that promotes humane farming and advocates for the safe production of meat, milk, and eggs. FACT helps consumers make humane and healthy choices. FACT's Fund a Farmer project awards grants and facilitates peer-to-peer farmer education, such as today's webinar, to increase the number of animals that are raised humanely in this country. My name is Lisa Eisenhart, and I'm the Humane Farming Program Director with FACT. And also with me today is Larissa McKenna, our Associate Director. And Larissa is going to help introduce our presenters for today.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes, this is Larissa. I am FACT's Associate Director. Along with Lisa, I direct the Fund a Farmer project, and we are delighted to introduce our two presenters, both of whom are also Fund a Farmer grant recipients in the past. First presenter is Holly Browder of Browder's Birds, Pastured Poultry on Long Island in New York. Browder's is a two-time Fund a Farmer grant recipient. In 2013, FACT awarded Holly and her husband Chris a Fund a Farmer grant to install fencing, which enabled both their laying hens and their broilers to be on pasture and moved around as needed. And then in 2014, Browder's received a second grant to support their pilot project to market pasture-raised chicken to local chefs on Long Island. Today, Holly will talk about the farm's retail, wholesale, and value-added marketing approaches. Our second and final presenter this afternoon is Geoff McPherson of Good Life Ranch in Central Kentucky. In 2014, FACT awarded Good Life a Fund a Farmer grant to improve water delivery to their animals on pasture. Today, Geoff is going to be sharing some of his farm's marketing strategies, lessons learned, including tips for direct marketing and product pricing. So we're thrilled to have both of them with us today and thank them for sharing their knowledge and their expertise. Holly and Geoff will be available to answer your questions later in the webinar, as Lisa mentioned. And now, without further ado, I'm going to let Holly take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Holly Browder. It's great to be here talking to you, and thanks for joining us. I raise certified organic poultry for meat and eggs in Long Island. We also have a flock of heritage Cotswold sheep that we raise for meat and wool. And we raise a flock of ducks for eggs, and we also have 15 beehives on our farm. We're located about 90 miles from New York City, which puts us also very close to the Hamptons, so we can reach a lot of people, even though it's a kind of a rural area where we are. But it also gives us a lot of opportunities to do lots of unique things and collaborate with lots of different people, and giving us so many new marketing strategies, which I'll go over today. So, we have our products, and the bulk of our business is definitely retail sales, which is a direct sales to customers. We have a farm stand on our farm that it actually opens up and faces the pasture. One thing that's really unique about all of us, we have these humane farms, is that they're beautiful and people want to see it, and we don't have anything to hide. So it's really great to have people come onto your farm and have a way that they can actually see the animals and see what you do and really feel a connection to what you're selling them. So we keep our stand open every weekend year-round. We don't necessarily have somebody standing there year-round. Sometimes someone has to flag somebody out of the field to help them with a purchase. But definitely in the summer when it's busy, we do try to keep an eye on it. It offers us a great opportunity to have people come and visit and ask questions and actually do what I like to say is know your chicken, so they actually get to know the animals. And then once they see all that, then they can turn around and tell your story to somebody else when they're making dinner or serving your chicken. We also do farmers markets. We actually started this business 6 years ago with just one farmers market. We sold everything we could produce at one market. This coming up season, we're going to be doing 6 farmers markets. It's a lot of work. It's really hard to do markets every week. I don't know how many of you do them, but you get up early, you pack the cars, and you're on your feet all day, and then you come back and do all your farm work. But I cannot stress how great it is to get out there and meet your customers. We've learned so much about our business from doing that one farmers market. And every market we do, we learn more about who our customer is and what they're looking for, because you meet so many more people than who would just come to your farm. We just have built so much loyalty through the farmers markets that we do. And, some areas are a lot more difficult to find markets, but what I've found is that we never had a winter market out on the east end of Long Island. So 3 years ago, I organized one. I talked to livestock farmers first because I figured, well, we've all got eggs and we've got meat and we've got cheese and we've got bread and things that are year round, oysters. And I got enough people to agree to do it. So we had a space in one of the nearby towns, and it just grew, and it's really fantastic. I mean, we're doing it again this year, and people fight to get into that market now. Another strategy we have is a CSA. I know a lot of vegetable farms have always done CSAs, so we do a chicken and egg share, and you can buy a 20-week share in the summer, or you can buy a half share, which is every other week. And the people that sign up for our CSA do so every year. They're probably people that would come to the farm and buy chickens anyways, but I always say, would they have bought 12 or 20 chickens in a season? Maybe not. Maybe it's better because they bought them up front, and then they know they're going to pick them up all year. And the other great thing about a CSA is that we start selling shares in December. So people buy them for Christmas gifts. It's nice to get that money in the winter when you're feeding animals and you still have, not as many customers coming to your farm. So it's a fun thing to do. It does require some administration to keep track of your CSA members and pickups, but it's definitely rewarding. And we've definitely had a lot of success with that. So then you probably have your wholesale business, which you might not start out with because wholesale really means you have extra product, and that's why you're going to wholesale it. But we've found a lot of ways to make wholesale a part of our marketing, and that's working with restaurants and caterers. We started out just working with one restaurant. I think if you've never worked with a restaurant, find one restaurant in your area that seems like it's open to working with a local farmer that maybe already promotes local farms, because that's really all you need. And if you see in this picture, it's a picture of a menu from the North Fork Table and Inn, which is probably the nicest restaurant on the North Fork. And it says on there, Browder's Poulet Rouge 2 ways. They put our farm right there on the menu. So every weekend, they have sold out brunch. People are seeing that, or sold out dinner. And it's better than advertising, because all these customers are going to see that and ask questions, ask the waiter, oh, what's Browder's? And then it says, oh, well, they'll tell them it's pasture raised, it's certified organic. So it really is, it's a great relationship to have. It's really fun to work with a restaurant like that. We've also started to work with some caterers in the Hamptons. They do a lot of high-end weddings. Our product's not cheap. It's never going to be cheap. So you have to be selective when you work with restaurants, because there's probably a higher price point that you're going to have to narrow the restaurants that you're able to work with. But it's definitely a rewarding experience. It's great to have the feedback from chefs, from people that work in the food business, especially when your product sells really well. And let's see, we also do retail stores, and retail stores are selling our eggs for us, or selling our chickens for us. We're also selective with those stores, but I kind of like to find places near where our farmers markets are. So if somebody misses a market, then they know they can go to the store and pick up our product. And just because they missed the market, they don't need to buy conventional eggs at the supermarket. So I try to find specialty markets. We're lucky that we have a lot of specialty markets around our area. But, I'm actually expanding that. I was just talking to just our IGA grocery store today about this summer putting certified organic local chicken in the deli section, or in the butcher section, and they were definitely open to that. So it's really amazing. It's really amazing how, so many more people are looking for local organic, and and the stores are willing to work with you. And the last one on here we don't do, but it's delivery services. There's tons of them out there. They call us all the time. They're basically farm to kitchen services where, they're willing to pick up your product and take it to customers, and they're marking it up and selling it. I think they're great. I see more of these popping up every year. Just where we are right now, we're sort of maxed out with our wholesale business, so I'm not adding new customers or new accounts. But I definitely think that's helpful for the farmer that maybe doesn't have time to drive around to farmers markets or drive around delivering to restaurants. If there's a service out there that's willing to be the direct sale to customers, but also pick up the product and take it to them. Okay, so this was really fun. This is the story of the Little Jerry's. This is our story of farm to table to farm. And when we first decided to start selling chicken to restaurants, there was no local chicken on Long Island until we started our farm. So we were the first local chicken pasture poultry farm. We were the first farm to put a chicken on the menu. But we had to do it in an interesting way because it's an expensive chicken. So it's going to be an expensive dish for someone to buy. So how are we going to tell that story? And what are some fun things we could do with that? So we had this idea that the restaurant we work with forever, North Fork Table and Inn, the chef is Chef Jerry Hayden. He actually just passed away last year from ALS, but he was a really famous chef. He worked in New York City with all the top guys for years. I mean, he knew everybody. So we thought, well, let's make it really fun. We'll name the chickens after him, and we'll feed the chickens scraps from the restaurant. And, how many people could do this? Because most distributors couldn't do this, but we're the local farm. We can do this. So it was a huge project because I never realized how much scraps a restaurant produces in the summer, vegetable scraps. It was a huge amount. But we fed all the chickens the scraps, and then we would process them on Thursday and take the chickens to the restaurant. And we had two problems with it. Was that the restaurant could only take 40 chickens a week, and we processed chickens in batches of flocks of 160. So we had to sell all these extra chickens, and then we also had to figure out, and then they couldn't be certified organic because there was just no way to keep them organic with the scraps. There was no way to record all that it was all certified organic, and it wasn't. It was mostly local vegetable scraps from other farms. So we decided to call them the Little Jerry's, and we sold all the extra chickens at the farmer's market with the story that, these were the chickens that were fed all the scraps from the North Fork Table and Inn, and they're named after Chef Hayden. Well, everybody loved these chickens, even though they were just Cornish cross, and they were the same chickens that we were selling certified organic. People requested the Little Jerry's because they thought the story was so great that, we only did it one season, and 2 years later, people still ask for the Little Jerry's. I haven't been able to do it again, but maybe we'll try it again in the future. But it was just a really unique way to get a local chicken out there on the menu and then show how special it was, that it was a really great relationship with the restaurant, and we were small, we were local, and how many people could do this. So, and that was a really fun thing that we did. So I would say if you've never sold to restaurants and you're looking for looking to start, think about marketing, look outside the box and think about ways your product can be so different than something they could get from D'Artagnan or something they could get from Browder. There's a lot of uniqueness that you can bring being a small farm and being local. And this is my favorite part. This is value added, and every year we add new products as we learn about what our customers want. And what we try to do is, instead of just selling someone chicken and eggs, we try to increase those sales. So instead of selling someone two things at the farmer's market, I want them to pick up 5 things. So when you start looking at what your basic products are, it's amazing to think of all the things you can make from them. We've added mayonnaise, which is the picture all the way on the top left, which is made from our egg yolks. You can make a lot of mayonnaise from egg yolks. It doesn't cost very much, but people love it, and ours is organic. Next to that, we make quiches, and we change the vegetable in the quiche. We always use a vegetable from a local farm, and we probably change it every couple weeks. And that's, again, with our eggs. We can sell quiches year-round. People love it. They're already baked. They just have to be reheated. We do chicken pot pies now, which are little mini hand pies with our organic chicken. We do, on the bottom corner, we make dry rubs, because it's like, what goes with poultry? Well, we've got dry rubs, we do brine, we do barbecue sauce. And then I even started doing with the wool, we do our own fashion, farm to fashion. We have all the wool made, milled upstate New York. We have it hand knitted outside of New York City. Beautiful heirloom pieces, but again, things that people that buy from our farm every week and have that connection, or want to buy a pair of gloves from the farm too. And they see the sheep every week. The interesting thing about these products is that we don't actually make any of them at the farm. I mean, I don't have time to make 80 quiches at any point. I wouldn't even know how to make 80 quiches. This is all collaboration, and I can't stress enough, when you go to the farmers markets, when you talk to people, just like always think about what they do and remember them. And you never know when you can work with them again in the future. The woman that makes all our quiches was a baker that was next to us at the farmers market 5 years ago on Shelter Island. We always stayed in touch. She wanted to open her own shop. So when she did, I asked if she would bake the quiches for us, and she said, sure. And I always make sure to mention that they're baked at her shop. I always cross promote. I don't try to pretend that we do it here. And it's a great relationship. She's been making our quiches for 2 years. The mayonnaise is made at a commercial kitchen that's nearby in the area. They do a lot of stuff for us. They do our dry rubs. They do a lot of our products. The pot pies are actually made with one of the caterers that we work with in the Hamptons. They were already buying our products for their menus. When I had a chance to look at their menu and I saw what they were making, I just said, oh, could you make extra for us since you're already making it? And we box and package it and sell it. So it's just really fun. I mean, the collaboration to me is one of the best parts. And I love working with other farmers and other artisans and other bakers and creative people. But people at the market, people really want, especially on the weekends, they're looking for something easy. So the easier you can make it for them to eat your product, it's like the easier it will sell. Oh, and one other thing about the mayonnaise, and this is another marketing thing, the mayonnaise didn't always sell right. It has a shelf life. It didn't always sell out. So we started to play around with the name, and we changed it to aioli, and it was the exact same recipe, and then we would add flavors.
Hi there, everyone. This is Lisa Eisenhart. It looks like Holly's audio cut out. Yep, I'm seeing some other people who are saying they can't hear as well. So just give us a moment to see what the technical issue is, and we'll be back momentarily. Thanks so much.
Sorry, I got disconnected. I'm still here.
Thanks, Holly.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but I'm here. I got knocked out for a second. I'm back in. I've said it many times, but I've mentioned it many times in the presentation. But creating loyalty and building your brand, it's really important, especially in this day and age. I think everyone's so savvy with marketing, so you just have to be right. I mean, you just have to play the game. And one way is telling your story. We all have great stories. I mean, why we farm, what we do. We love what we do. And people want to know your story. If they're going to invest money in your product, they really want to be able to tell their friends and family about this food and why it costs so much. And, we do it again and again, and we do it every year. We're telling our stories. That's why we love the farmers markets. From that, we do a Friday newsletter now, where every Friday morning we send out, and we use Constant Contact, but there's a bunch of them. There's MailChimp. There's a lot of different services, but we always send out a Friday newsletter that tells stories from the farm, has pictures, has recipes, has links to all the farmers markets that we're doing that weekend, anything special going on. It's really amazing. The newsletter, we have 1,000 people on our email list, and we actually are not actively good about collecting email addresses, so it's amazing it has that many. But I'd say half of those people read it every week. And it's really great. If we ever didn't do a newsletter, people would probably call, because I always have people coming to tell us the next day that they tried the recipe, that they love the story, that they like the pictures. So we get a lot of great feedback from our newsletter. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's amazing how much marketing you can do through social media, and it doesn't cost you anything. I talk to so many people now that say they would never pay to advertise, because just by using Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you can reach so many more people and actually get your message across so much better. And we never pay to advertise. We always did Facebook and Twitter. I actually just started Instagram this year. I actually think Instagram is even more popular than those two. If you need help, you should ask around, because we had somebody out here that helped me get set up on Instagram, because there are people that are very savvy at it and they're very good at it. And it's really, I've noticed a difference in people that find us through those mediums and come to the farm for the first time because they saw us on Instagram. And then finally, I have farm events. It's not the easiest thing to do, because we all work so hard and we're always exhausted and thinking, oh my gosh, having an event at your farm on top of everything else. But we try to do our annual picnic every year in September. And we have games, we have an egg toss, we have a feed sack race for kids. We serve our chicken, usually fried chicken, although last year we did barbecue chicken, deviled eggs. We've done Caesar salad with our dressing. The dressing's made with our egg yolks. We like to sample some of the products that we sell in the stand so people can try them at the picnic. We do charge money for the picnic. I try to keep it reasonable, but and we don't even cook all the food. Caterers that we work with in the Hamptons did the food for the picnic last year. But it builds loyalty. People love the picnic. The same people come back every year. People bring their kids. They bring friends to the picnic, and then the friends become customers and they come every weekend. So it does take a little bit of extra work, but it's very rewarding to do something like that. And again, people just feel like they're part of your farm. It's something they remember, and then they definitely feel like a connection with you and with your product. And then my last tip is educate your customers. And there's just some fun things you can do to maybe better explain pastured poultry, or better explain what it means to be on grass or certified organic. One thing my husband likes to do at the markets is what he calls the egg quiz, and it's the picture in the top. It's he buys a organic egg from the grocery store. Usually, I think it's Land O'Lakes organic eggs, and then he breaks one open in a glass container next to one of our eggs, and he has a sign up. It says, "Can you tell which one's the store-bought organic and which one's our local farm organic?" It draws people in because it's a sign, and people come over just to play the game. But then hopefully it always looks like our yolk is the bright orange one on the left, and it does actually show people the difference, and then it gets people talking, and then you can have that conversation, because a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, well, organic must mean they're on grass. Well, no, that doesn't always mean they're on grass, but pastured means they're on grass. And what's the difference? And the difference is that beautiful orange yolk. So that's a fun thing, and that works really well. If you're ever at a new market and nobody knows you, do that, because that will actually, and someone else is maybe selling eggs nearby, but that will bring everybody over to your table. Shelf talkers, whenever we sell to retail stores, I always do a 4x6 laminated card with a picture of the chickens on it on the field, and it says, "Hello, we're Browder's Birds. We're certified organic and pasture raised. All our chickens raised on our farm. Support local." And then maybe it says Mattituck, New York. And we always have that by our eggs. So, if it's some weekend person that's just in town for the weekend, at least they can read the story and they'll say, oh, these eggs might cost more than these other eggs on the shelf, but I think I'm going to buy the ones that I know where they came from. And then finally, panels, presentations, and boards. It's just, if people ask you to do stuff, even if it's just, I went to talk to the library about how to raise backyard hens, and 100 people came. It was amazing. But I always say yes, because I think it's great. I think the more you're involved in your community, the more you go out and do things and help talk to people. It's only going to better your brand. And the panel that I put a picture up was actually, they asked I got asked to do a panel in Southampton with the CEO of Ariane, the CEO of D'Artagnan's on the panel, and Chef Cesar Cesarelli or Caselli from New York City, and it was great. It was really fun. I was honored to be talking with the CEO of D'Artagnan. So that's all in conclusion. I hope you learned something, and thanks again for listening.
Thanks so much, Holly. And we'll have the contact information at the end as well. And now, without further ado, Geoff, if you want to come off of mute and take it away.
All attendees are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay? My name is Geoff McPherson. I'm from Good Life Ranch, and we are in rural Kentucky. And we raise mostly pastured meat.
All attendees are muted.
Turkey, lamb.
All attendees are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
All right, hi everybody. I think my voice will come through now. My name is Geoff McPherson. I'm from Good Life Ranch in Kentucky, and we raise mostly pastured meats. We are not organic. We're kind of what you would call a permaculture farm, and we raise mostly chicken, turkey, lamb, pork, and beef. And everything is on grass, and everything is, feed-free and chemical-free. And we focus on heritage breeds to preserve the genetics and preserve the breed and stuff. So we're really looking to conserve the genetics there, and we think those genetics do better on grass and better in our system than some of the new breeds do. Our property is outlined here. We have about 160 acres, and we are very, very rural. We mostly use our pastures for our birds and for our cattle, and then we use our forests. As you can see, we have quite a bit of forest for pork production and forest products. We try to have a lot of wildlife on our farm and really encourage as much of a natural environment as we can. And the woods and some of the open meadows that we don't use are sort of our learning lab. And so our farm, like I said, we're the star here in the center of your picture, and so we are very, very, very rural. The closest town is about 20 minutes from us, and there's 2,000 people in that town. And then, we are about 2 hours from Lexington, 2 hours from Louisville, and 2 hours from Bowling Green. We're in a very poor area. The average household income in our county is less than $21,000, and so we have a lot of area to cover to find enough people that can afford to pay a living wage for the kind of food that we produce. And so that's one of our biggest challenges, has just been our remoteness and sort of where we're located. Other limitations we have is just, we don't have a lot of local interest in supporting this type of agriculture. We've had 3 farmers markets that were actually the closest to us fail. The customers don't show up, or the farmers stop showing up. There's just not a real sense of effort, sense of supporting the community for this. People tend to go to Walmart for their produce, and Mostly when we sell very locally, which is what we'd rather do, we kind of get, why should I pay $4 a dozen for your eggs? You know, I can get them from this person over here who just has a backyard block for $2 a dozen or $1.25 a dozen. Everybody around here has chickens and can make their own eggs for the most part. And so really figuring out, you know, what our market niche is a little bit challenging for us. And so some things that we've tried that haven't worked, we set up a nice little roadside stand and selling some of our stuff along with neighbors. All our neighbors are Amish, and we kind of grow things like the Amish around us do anyway, in terms of heritage stuff and chemical free, and that didn't work. People wouldn't stop. We tried starting a local farmers markets in the two closest towns, and again, there's just not a lot of people in those towns, and it didn't tend to be worth the farmers' time to set up. A lot of farmers quit because they just weren't making enough sales to justify the time commitment. And we've our most successful thing in terms of our failed strategies, I guess, is CSA, and which is community supported agriculture, where people basically subscribe to products from the farm. And we have lots of interest in this, tons. And our two challenges here are a lot of our customers that are willing to afford the prices that we need to make to be profitable are a long way away from us. And so deliveries are logistically difficult for that. And then the other difficulty is we're kind of an off-season CSA. Most CSAs run in the summertime, but when you're grass finishing pastured meats, you know, the fall, late fall, and even into early winter is your prime time to process. And so people aren't used to signing up for a CSA that's going to go through the winter. And so having to do a lot of customer education on this one, and that's one we're still working on, and we want to revisit. So things that have worked. Here's our product sales now. Our first and primary line is our direct marketing to individual customers, and these are people who come and they buy whole or half animals from us, whole or half hogs, lambs, turkeys, and beef. We do things where people buy lots of chickens. If you buy 20 or more at once, we will custom raise orders for you. And so this is our main avenue. And these customers are ones that really support our farm. They're willing to buy a lot of product at one time, several times a year. They've got their own deep freezers, and they have a setup that is where they're ready, and they can take these hundreds of pounds of meat and store them and use them. These people tend to be very educated about where their food comes from. Most of them have sought us out and know a lot about us before they contact us. Second avenue for us in terms of profits generated is a local grocery store about an hour away. This is a brand new grocery store in the last year. It features all local products. Everything is Kentucky grown and Kentucky raised. And we sort of began with a consignment arrangement with the owner while she was building up enough capital, and so I knew her beforehand and trusted her to do a consignment arrangement. And now we get paid when we deliver to the store. And we take deliveries down there about once a week, and several hundred pounds or at a time of different products, and then they get sold during the week. And it's really nice because it's one trip. It's not too bad, and then we don't have to worry about everybody coming up to the farm at different times and picking up different things. It's really nice to have a central place for those products to go. Third is an evening farmers market in the same city. This is the only viable farmers market for us that we found within a 2-hour radius. And really, we sell extras here. We don't generate a ton of revenue directly from these farmers market sales, but what we do get is exposure. We have people that know us, who learn about our farm, who see us there for the first time, who can look us up on the internet, or who talk to us later, and a good number of them do eventually become direct marketing customers. They'll buy a small portion at the market to take home and cook, and they'll taste it, and then once they've done that, they tend to come back for more. And so farmers markets is a place where you can set up samples and just generally get people to come and know who you are and know what you're doing. And then finally, since we do raise heritage animals, we do keep a registered herd, flock, sounder, whatever you want to call it for the breed. And that way we get another market that way. Registering animals can be a pain, and it can be a lot of paperwork, and it is definitely a little bit more expensive depending on the breed to keep them registered. But you do open up another avenue. A lot of times these breed associations have some tools that we're going to talk about later that can help you get good prices for your products. Kind of want to take you through some things that are successful for us in terms of direct marketing, some strategies. Most customers that come to us have found our website first, and so having something on the web, a web presence that shows up when people type in sustainable farming in your area, or pastured eggs in New York or Kentucky or wherever. Having a good website that shows up high in the list is great. So like when people hear our name and they want to search us, when they go to Google, like the first 2 pages are all us, and there's pictures and there's maps, and so like having the ability to do that, or to find somebody who can do that for you is really good, because if they type in your farm name or your name or your product, and there's lots of people that come up that aren't you, that's not really helpful to your customers. We have a state program that helps market products from our state, and that's really good to generate new customers too. It's especially helpful to finding placement in stores and in restaurants. A lot of restaurants will want to feature local products if you can prove that you are made locally, in this case in your state. We run a blog, and lots of people for some reason read our blog. I don't think I'm a very talented writer. I certainly won't win any prizes, but I do write about whatever's going on, and it's not a regular thing, and I have a set schedule, but people seem to really enjoy reading about whatever's happening on the farm, whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, halfway gross or whatever. People seem to enjoy farm life and wanting to know more about it, and so having that blog will drive a lot of traffic for us as well. We have some food sites like Eat Wild and Locally Grown that are great for people that don't know who you are, but they know what they're wanting. So if they go on and search for pastured chicken or for beef or whatever, and they know they put in their location, it pops up farms that are around them that have those products. And so these are really good tools, and they've actually generated so much interest for us that we're down to one site of them. And so because we were just getting too many people, we literally had hundreds of people on a waiting list, and that was just too much for us to deal with. So we went down to one of these sites. We're on Locally Grown now, just because they were really, really, really effective at what they do. So if you want to generate interest, these are great. Just be prepared to meet some of the demand that they generate. Farm visits are great to let people connect with the farm. They are, like Holly said, they are a little bit of trouble to run, and you kind of have to keep an eye on people and make sure your liability insurance is all up to date and everything. But they get to see the farm and see the animals and see the crops, and there's really no substitute for that. And social media, these are the 3 that we're on. We're on Facebook, WordPress, which is the blog, and Twitter. I'm not very good at any of those, but mostly I will just put up some pictures of things that happen, or some links to where we're going to be at a given time to sell products, and people seem to respond pretty well to it, and it's a good way to chat quickly with customers as well. Whenever we're direct marketing, like the biggest thing is focus on creating a relationship, because if really what you're wanting to do is create a customer that's going to come back. And I've always said my goal is I would rather find 30 or 40 or 50 families where we can produce basically all the meat that they eat than to have 4,000 customers that buy a pound of ground beef every once in a while. I really want to create a relationship with our customer because once you've got that, they'll be loyal to you. If they're just worried about how much they're got to pay for something, their relationship with your business is probably not going to be real long lasting. Remember, people remember what you say, and so especially be honest, be truthful, and be kind to people. We have had some people working for us that were not so kind, and it really comes back to haunt you. And those people aren't with us any longer, but people do remember it. And when you're not truthful, it's very tempting. We've had people as well working for us that want to say yes to everything, so to make that sale. They want to answer every question in the way that the person asking it wants to hear. And that you really can't do that and be open and honest and be transparent in what you do. And so when people ask about how that you raise your products, tell them how you really do it. And don't exaggerate, don't embellish, because you're really wanting to build a relationship with that customer and find the people that want to support you in the way that you actually operate. And then in our area, one thing that's really hard to do is we can't compete on price with Walmarts, and we can't compete on price with a couple of Amish produce stores. We just can't. There's such high volume, and the quality is much different than what we produce. And so, don't try to compete on price with those big stores and with people that have lower overheads. That's just what separates your farm is your story and the quality of your products and the way that you're producing it. And so really, if they wanted to spend the cheapest amount on their food possible, if your customers did, none of us are going to stay in business for very long, because it's more expensive to produce food the way we're doing it. And so make every effort. Don't compete on price. Give people a story. Talk about the welfare of the animals. Talk about your supporting a farmer and living a lifestyle while farming. Give them a reason to support your farm. And it can't be the lowest price, because lowest price customers are notoriously fickle, and as soon as somebody else has it cheaper, they're going to go to them. But if they know you and they believe in what you're doing and they believe in you, they're going to support you through thick and thin, and they're going to support you when you have to raise prices sometimes, and they're going to understand that. So look for customers who want to know where their food is, who want to know their farmer, who want to support you. Here's some farm visits we've done where we let people work on your farm. You don't want to, drive them into the ground or anything, but, it creates a lot of buy-in. And it can be a really positive experience for everybody. People bring their children and they help out. They get to see the animals. And, usually these type of people want to taste the food. They want to come back, buy more from you later. And you really do a great job of humanizing yourself and of letting them connect with your property and your farm and letting them know your story, because that's what's really going to sell your products. Our website is something that I created. It's by no means professional, but I think the keys to anything that you do is to be informative, be inviting, and tell your story. Through photographs, through text, really, this is your face for many, many of the people that are going to encounter your farm. And most people aren't going to come out and ever see it. So this is how they're going to do it, through the internet, through your website or social media. We don't have an online storefront yet because I'm not as tech savvy as I'd like to be, but I'd like to figure that out. I'd like a way for people to order online, because it's something that's easy. It's something people are used to doing now, and it's something they can do with a click, and you want to make it as easy as possible for people to buy from you, and excuse me, and you want to having an online store is a perfect way to do that. And then easy ways to contact you: email, phone, social media, whatever your preference is. But just be prepared and make sure you list ways in which people actually can contact you. Like our cell phone doesn't work where we live, so I don't put that number on there because it won't work, and we don't want people getting nothing or a disconnect message or a machine every time they call. And so make sure that whatever contact you choose to list is one that actually works for you and that you will have time to answer at some point. Eat Wild listing, this is what I was talking about, how, here's where we are. This is our, right there in the center by the star. And our listing on the left is what we put on the site. And so if you were to go there and look for certain products or look for a certain farm, this is what you'd see. So it's a great little mapping program, and we have gotten tons and tons of customers, like I said, through this. So I really recommend trying one of those sites. Eat Wild, they're locally grown, and there's several others, but they're all work well. Many states have a program like ours. Ours is called Kentucky Proud, but this is a state initiative through the extension services mostly, but it's marketing assistance, it's promotional materials. They have an app on the smartphone where people can find different products and different farmers. Every month they feature one of the members on the website, and when they do that, it really drives some people actually do read this stuff, and it drives a lot of customers to your social media site, to your web, to your phone, and it's really great. Some tips we have: get your products in front of as many people as you can. If your stuff is quality and you can get people to taste it, they'll come back. If you're getting a lot of people to taste and not a lot of people buying, it may not be what people are looking for. And when we've had a learning curve with that ourselves. Seek out the customers you want. Good, loyal customers supporting you and your farm. Not just people who stop on the side of the road in the middle of town one day to buy a head of lettuce or something. Quality over price. I have at least 3 requests a week about, can I raise somebody some pork where it hasn't eaten grain? And, we got to learn when you can and can't do something. And so I always want to say, yes, we'd be happy to do that, but we really can't. We've tried it. It's not something that's feasible for us. And so, we've had to learn that even though we want to say yes, we have to learn that we can't do that. It's not going to do well. It's not going to be the quality of product that we want to produce, and so we don't. You got to learn when you can't do something. And the last one, we are always backed up on demand. We can never produce enough on our farm, it seems like, to satisfy all the demand we have. So we have to have a waiting list. Really, if you have one of those, honor it. People remember where they are and when they made that reservation. And so keep in contact, give updates. You see a little picture on the left, we'll send little updates about when people's eggs are ready and just nice little things to let them know, yes, they're still on the list. We remember, and we're working as hard as we can to fulfill your request. The local grocery store is great for people who don't have that big deep freezer to buy hundreds of pounds of meat at a time. It's great for people that cook every day. It's great for people who just want to get a little bit. It saves us a lot of time and fuel. It's really nice to have one drop-off point. And then it generates a lot of exposure. You can see we're listed up there on the wall. And it serves as a taste test. If people, may be interested in buying a larger amount of product but don't really know if they want to, they're not sure what it's going to taste like, this is a great way for them to buy a pound of ground beef instead of a 250-pound side of beef. And this helps us support a place that supports you. And local businesses really need to help each other stay in business. And so us supporting this store that store supports our farm. It's a win-win situation for both of us. At the farmers market, this is where we sell excess product. It's great we have our sampling license, so we can cook burgers, and we can have people sample some produce or some farm products. So people can do kind of a taste test and see if they like it. We really get to meet a lot of new people. We answer questions, and it really helps put a face on your farm. People see you, they know who goes with that farm, and they can really start to relate to you. Try to make your setup as inviting as possible. Anything that customers can eat out of hand is going to drive them up. Like, we really found that a lot of people simply come to the farmers market to buy something to eat and walk around with their dog, and that's fine. But if you're selling only, T-bone steaks, you're not going to get a lot of sales that way. And so, really having something, we produce a lot of things that we can convert into eat out of hand things, and so those sell really well at the farmers market. We have a couple of people that sell the same things as us, and so make nice with them. Send them customers when you're out, and they'll do the same for you, and they're a great source of information when you need something. We sell breeding stock. These are just the associations we belong to, but if you raise a registerable breed, it's a really good thing you can get a much greater price for a breeding quality animal than for an eating quality one. And so it just opens up another avenue for you to market your products. If you're a member of the Breed Association, take advantage of some of these avenues. Setting prices is difficult. It's very tempting. Most people that raise cattle around here go to the auction and sell them. And the bad thing about that is you're stuck taking whatever price that they're offering that day. And that price has little to do probably with how much it costs you to produce. And so know your price points. Know what you can afford to sell at. Know what is profitable for you. And really try to work on creating customer value. Have a quality product, and people will be willing to pay more from it, and choose those places where your value is recognized. Restaurants, high scale restaurants, good quality grocery stores, farmers markets, or find customers yourself through direct marketing who recognize and want quality. And it's really tempting when you're running low on cash to sell things that are below cost, and that doesn't work. The more you sell, the more money you lose, and people really remember, hey, I got those eggs from you for $2.50 a dozen last time. Why are they $4 now? And so it's really hard if you lower the price once to get it back up. And so if we have things that are going bad soon, or meeting expiration date, we found it's better to give them off as free samples to get them to buy something else than it is to lower the price on that object, because it's really hard to raise it back up again, and of course, you're losing money selling it at that price. Scaling is something we're really struggling with. We have so much demand, and it's really tempting to just buy a whole bunch more cows and buy a whole bunch more hogs and chickens and produce more. But we really can't. Our land can't support more, and that's okay. It's better to have a waiting list, I think, than a bunch of product that you can't sell, because then you're kind of stuck with it. And so we've really gone slowly. And every time, we make sure that we have markets for something before we grow it. I know a lot of people would tell you the other thing, but to go ahead and produce it and there will be a market. But in our area, that's not really what we've found. So we're really careful that we have a market, we know where the product is going, and then we try to produce a little bit extra that we can sell, or to cover any losses or something during production. And I'm a biology teacher, and so when you're producing product, just like a business is just like an animal out in the environment. You're competing with other people. We compete with anybody else who sells meat, and so we want to make sure we choose who we're competing with. We don't want to compete with Walmart on price. We don't want to compete with McDonald's. We produce quality products, we think, and so we want to be taken seriously as a quality product. And so like these warblers here in my biology class, every warbler has its own little niche, every part of the tree that it uses. And you've got to find your niche. You've got to find those customers that are suited for your farm and for what you produce. Otherwise, if you try to cover every customer, there's no way you can do it. You can't be all things to all people. So you've really got to find your niche, or else your business just isn't going to last. Take advantage of anything you can do to foster goodwill and get your farm out. We've done articles, radio interviews, library visits, how-to talks, everything you can think of. Everything is an opportunity to educate your customers, because a lot of people simply don't know about this type of food, why it costs more, and how much better it is in taste and in health. That's it for me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag on getting my microphone back on. Thank you, Holly and Geoff, for your wonderful presentations. We now have just about 15 minutes or so for our question and answer session. So please, audience members, feel free to use the chat sidebar on the left. At the very bottom, you can type in your message, and it will come to the presenters. And I will actually, what I'll do is read questions aloud and direct them to Holly or Geoff to answer, or maybe both, depending on the question. And we'll try to get through as many of them as possible, but it will be possible for those whose questions aren't answered to follow up via email. We have a survey that we'd love you to take after the webinar. It only takes about two or 3 minutes, depending on how much feedback you give. But I think we should probably be able to get through a lot of questions in 15 minutes. So feel free to type them in. We'd love to hear from you. You're also welcome to give general feedback as well if you don't have a question right now.
Let me start by asking a question. This is Larissa. Oh, I see a question came in, but just quickly, Holly, since Geoff talked about product pricing, how do you price your value added? Do you is that in collaboration with the other partner farms or establishments, or is that kind of on your own?
I missed the end. How do I price the value added?
Correct.
Oh, we usually look at the cost. I mean, you have to look at the cost to produce, and we don't produce it here. So someone's charging me their cost, plus the ingredients that are going into it that are coming from our farm. And then I usually try to double that. I mean, our stuff's not cheap, but it's also small quantity. And just like Geoff said, I'm not trying to sell to everybody, but there's a customer out there that wants to pay for quality over quantity. So you just have to find that customer, and that's who you're selling to.
Great. And we have a question from Helen, and it's for Holly. She would like to know, do you have a USDA facility for processing chickens for sale to restaurants, or is that a concern where you are?
Yes, it's definitely a concern where we are. We actually do not have any USDA facilities on Long Island. It took us a couple years to actually get a New York State licensed, a 5A license, in order to sell to restaurants. That involved actually installing a mobile processing unit on our farm. We were lucky enough to be able to purchase one upstate and move it down to our farm, and then we were able to get it licensed. So now we are able to do wholesale up to 20,000 chickens a year on our farm as well.
Great. And we have a question from Mary for both of you, and we'll have Geoff go first. Mary wants to know, how many employees do each of you have at your farms?
Hi, Mary. For us, it's just me, my wife, and we have 4 to 6 kind of seasonal employees from about May through September, just when we're trying to get a lot of work done at once. Thanks for your question.
This is Holly, and we have 2 people that are over winter, and then we pick up we'll pick up 2 more apprentices for the summer season, and we tend to have some people that are just here for the summer. Although if we get good apprentices, we try to keep them. We definitely work year round at our farm.
Great. Thank you, Holly. Any other questions for our presenters? All right, well, I think we can wrap up. I will give another minute while I'm giving my spiel about the survey in case people have questions that can trickle in. One, I just want to note that we do have another webinar coming up at the end of the month, and I'm going to share the link right now into the chat sidebar if I can get it to work. And I see another question has come in, but just real quick. So there's a webinar that we're having, was it on March 24th, on birds on the move, and it's about mobile poultry housing for pasture-based farms. So you can follow the link. And actually that link's really helpful. Our fundafarmer.org/webinar will get you to the archives of all of our past webinars. And this recording from today will be added to that link as well. So just a note, and you can also sign up for the upcoming webinar there. So there's a question for Geoff. Helen wrote, with being very rural, do you find there is a cost benefit to traveling to the larger centers that are a couple hours away?
Hi, Helen. Yes, with us, like basically we have to do 2 things. I mean, we're so far out that we either have to get customers to come to us or we have to go to customers. And so with the direct marketing with customers that are buying a large amount at a time, like that's very easy to convince them to come out and see the farm and pick up their entire side of beef. But it doesn't work so well to pick up a couple of pounds of hamburger. And so with the quantities, selling off farm is great for the large quantity of things. But to sell the little leftovers and things, it really does pay for us to go to the hour to the farmer's market that works, that is sustainable and really generates for us some profit on our time for being there. I wish we had one closer, but it really does pay off to go to the larger area.
Great, thank you. There's a question from Lauren Manning. This is for both presenters, and we can have Holly go first. The question is, how many head of lamb and or beef do you process and sell each year?
Well, for us, it's a really small part of our business. We do much more poultry. Our farm's called Browder's Birds. If we do sell lamb, it's usually the boy ram lambs that get processed in the winter. We've had 7 processed, 5 processed. It's not a very large part of our business, though, and usually we'll actually get them. We do not have a USDA slaughter facility, and so to save money, we'll have custom exempt slaughter, and we'll sell them as a whole animal cut up, so we're only really selling to a couple customers.
Geoff?
Yes. For us, it really kind of varies on the year. We're just getting beef going in the last. We just started selling it 2 years ago, and so we're still running about 6 to 8 head of beef a year. That's going to go up to about 25 a year next year, and continue at that level for the foreseeable future. We could sell more if we wanted to, but that's what our land is gonna support. For lambs and hogs and stuff like that, we probably do about 40 hogs a year, and lambs, oh gosh, I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Quite a few lambs.
And there's a question for Geoff from Mary again about, let's see, seasonal lambing or calving, or do you try to have babies coming all year long? And what is the reasoning behind your philosophy on that?
Okay, hi Mary. We calve in the spring for beef. and then we raise the animals for 2.5 years, and then we finish them on the fall grasses before their third winter. And so that's sort of the reasoning behind that, is to let them grow to maximum size and tenderness on grass. We need to have them in the spring and finish them in that second fall following that. For the other things, for the lambing and for the hogs, for the farrowing, we do that all year. Our breed of sheep is not seasonal breeders, and so we let them lamb all year, and the hogs, we let them farrow whenever they are going to, and that gives us a more even availability of our product, rather than having just a burst of 100 lambs or 150 lambs or whatever. We have 10 or 12 every month, and so that's more helpful for pricing our products.
Great. And we have another question from Helen. I'm thinking maybe it's directed at Geoff, but perhaps both of you could have advice on this. She's curious on advice for how far would you deliver for larger orders. And her situation is looking at traveling up to 4 hours to markets.
Well, this is Geoff. I guess I'll go. We avoided going 2 hours for markets. Now, I will be happy to meet customers for large orders, but it's got to be something that's kind of worth my time. So after we factor in being away from the farm and kind of the price of labor and the price of fuel, it's got to be a pretty large order for me to go that far, or I've got to be assured of making a large sale. 4 hours is extremely long. For me, that would be an extremely long time to be away from the farm and a very lot of fuel to use. So you just kind of have to do your math and see if that's going to be something that's feasible for you. Thanks for your question.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Looks like we have another couple of questions that have come in. Let's see. Do you let the ewes and hogs self-wean and then harvest as they reach harvest weight, or do you stick to a certain weaning age and run multiple herds? From Mary.
Hi, Mary. We self-wean for us, and if a mother sheep or hog is refusing to wean, then we'll separate them. But self-weaning works pretty well for us, and then we grass feed them until they reach the age we want, or the hogs are in the woods with grain until they reach the age.
Great. And we have another question, this time from Nadine in Oakdale, California. For Geoff, how long do you raise the hogs, and on what feed with the fields? I think maybe part of the question. So.
Yeah. We raise the hogs. We have a heritage breed hog. When we raise some hybrids, some of the more modern breeds, it would take us about 6 months to get a hog to market weight. With these heritage breed hogs, it takes 12 to 14 months.
Wow.
We raise them in woodlots where they have sort of an access to pasture and woods, and so they get whatever they can scrounge up there, which is nuts, worms, snakes, plant matter of all kinds. We do plant extra seeds for them, kales and broccolis and pumpkins, and whatever we take the seeds out of from the garden, we'll throw out in a woodlot, let them grow food. And then we do feed them some local, like Amish produced non-GMO feed, but basically I feed them about a bucket a day, 5-gallon buckets worth a day for the whole group of hogs, not one, for the whole group of hogs, just basically enough to keep them tame and coming up to me knowing there's treats coming. So I hope that was helpful.
Great. And I think we have time for one more question here, and this one's for Holly regarding poultry. Do you incubate and hatch your chickens or purchase from a hatchery? And also, 2 follow-up questions. Do you focus on heritage breed birds or Cornish crosses? And how do you educate your customers regarding your choices?
Hi, Mary. We do not incubate chicks here. We actually work with a hatchery in Pennsylvania. We're going to produce 3,000 broilers this year, and we usually get about 120 delivered every week in the season. With certified organic, as long as you start raising them from the second day, they can be considered certified organic. For breeds, we do Cornish cross, and we also do the red broilers, or we call them poulet rouge sometimes. The restaurants really like the red broilers because it is something different. You definitely have to educate your customers because it tastes different. It looks different. It's not big and plump like the Cornish cross, but I feel like for where we are near the Hamptons in New York City, it's a real foodie chicken. And there's definitely those people that want that. They want something different. And, we sell them for a lot more. They do take longer to grow. So they grow out a lot slower. And the price is equivalent to that. But, that helps make it more unique. I think sometimes the higher price makes it that much more special.
Great. Thank you so much, Holly. And thanks to all of our audience members and for your really wonderful questions for our presenters. On the screen right now, we have some contact information. We will be making available on that link that I shared, the fundtofarmer.org webinar link. We will make available the recording of today's webinar and also a PDF file of the slides in case you want to see this contact information or any of the slides from today. So thank you all so much for your attention and for joining us. And thank you, Holly and Geoff, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with everyone on the webinar today.
Thank you.
And please take our survey. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.